his closing remarks. And for everyone's information, this session will be recorded and the video will be published on the embassy's page on YouTube tomorrow. So without further ado, let us commence our program for today. The first speaker and the inaugural panelist will be our YB Liew Chin Tong, our Deputy Minister of the Malaysian Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, MITI, and YB will be speaking on semiconductors and industrial policy. We will also have a high-ranked official from the Malaysian, from the Ministry of the Brazilian side, MDIC, to do this panel discussion. So firstly, just a quick bio on YB Liew. YB Liew is the Deputy Minister of Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. He's currently the Member of Parliament for Iskandar Puteri, and he was previously the Senator in Dewan Negara from 2018 to 2021, and also served as the Deputy Defence Minister from 2018 to 2020. YB, you have now 10 minutes. Thank you, YB.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, my friend, Excellency Ari Quintela, Ambassador of Brazil to Kuala Lumpur, friends and honored guests from the Brazilian and also with us this evening. I am sorry that after to leave for the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers dinner, and I apologize for not being able to attend the entire session. I must congratulate His Excellency for this very innovative idea. I am amazed by your policy entrepreneurship, the ability to bring together people and bring together subjects that we have actually not explored before. After you told me about this program, and I thought that there's really an opportunity for us to learn from each other, given that we are in many in similar stages of development, but in very different places. Even if we do not have mutual, actual, what they call collaborations, in terms of understanding each other's policies towards semiconductor and towards general industry will be very helpful. And therefore, I really appreciate this opportunity. The Malaysian semiconductor industry has a long history. Malaysia, when it received its independence in 1957, it was pursuing an import substitution industrialization policy up until about late 1960s, when there was a riot, there was a political crisis, and subsequently, Malaysia switched gear in early 1970s to turn to export-oriented industry. This entire cluster was built initially in Penang and subsequently throughout the country. In fact, Intel's first outsourced, first what they call the overseas factory, overseas investment, was actually in Penang, Malaysia. So, and Intel started in 1972 in Penang, and that says a lot about the history of Malaysia being an investment destination for semiconductor industry way back in the early 1970s. Of course, the context is that Malaysia was not alone. There was Singapore, there was Malaysia, and subsequently also Thailand, a bit of Vietnam, which came in the 1990s and particularly after 2000s. But anyway, Malaysia occupies an interesting position globally. We are 7% global semiconductor trade, and we are approximately 13% of global chip assembly, testing, and packaging, which was done in this country. The significance of it is cannot be underestimated. Overall, electronic and electrical sector, Malaysia is the 6th largest exporters of semiconductor and largest exporter of E&E products throughout the world, in the world. That is the significance of where Malaysia is. To understand Malaysia's positions in the region, Malaysia there are 10 ASEAN countries. Malaysia is not as sophisticated as Singapore. Our economy is not as sophisticated as Singapore, but more sophisticated compared to other regional peers, such as Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines. The difficult part for Malaysia now is that we do not have demographic dividend. We have a much smaller population compared to some regional peers, but we have a very reasonably well-educated population, very well-educated regional standard, a stable English common law legal structure, as well as a strategic location Straits and the South China Sea with very good logistic infrastructure. If you ask me how to position Malaysia, I will say that Malaysia occupies the indispensable middle in Southeast Asia. For the longest of time, in the last 20 years since China joined WTO, not many people realize that the importance of Southeast Asia, because most of the manufacturing investment went to China. But now with what is going on, whether de-risk or decoupling, with factories, with MNCs leaving China, or at least building redundancy and what they call the China +1 strategy. When everyone is re-looking at Southeast Asia, they will realize that Malaysia occupies an indispensable middle in Southeast Asia. We, the new government, led by Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar, which came into office in November last year, decided that reindustrialization is one of the key engine of growth moving forward. I would say that to summarize, we see that there are three major engine of growth that will propel Malaysia to a second economic takeoff. The last economic takeoff that Malaysia experienced was between 1988 and 1997. Subsequently, in 1997, we experienced the Asia financial crisis. In 1998, Prime Minister Anwar at that time was Deputy Prime Minister. He was sacked and he was jailed, and resulted in a series of political crises. And in 2001, China joined WTO. So for a period of about 20, 25 years, we have not been doing that well. We are neither here nor there for around 25 years. But now the new government sees that we have at least three major engines of growth. The first one is reindustrialization. The second one is green transition. We believe that green transition, the demand for greening up supply chain, the demand for renewable energy, the demand to transition mobility into a green mobility, all this will be investment opportunity for us to tap into. And the third one will be what I call tech cup. We call tech cup because technological up our technology. What I mean by tech cup includes automation, digitalization, innovation, and also general adoptions of technology. Over the last 20 years, Malaysia has been heavily dependent on unskilled foreign labor. So we have artificially suppressed wages. Wages has been very low, and we have been we have been seeing many Malaysians working as cheap labor in Singapore because the wage difference is too huge. It's 1 to 3 at least. So moving forward, we want to push for technological upgrade. We want to see across the board there will be technological upgrade so that we can actually move away from unskilled foreign labor and move into higher wages, higher productivity, and higher growth. So we have just, as Ambassador pointed out, the Prime Minister have just launched the new Industrial Master Plan on 1st of September. For the first time, we have adopted not a sectorial approach. We used to adopt a sectorial approach when it comes to Industrial Master Plan, but this is the first time we have adopted a mission-based approach. We are influenced by Mariana Mazzucato when it comes to mission. We believe that industrialization or economic growth should be driven towards certain common missions. And the 4 missions we outlined in the new industrial master plan are as follow. First, we want to increase our economic complexity. The Malaysian semiconductor industry is very strong in back end, but we would like to see a lot more front end activities. We want to have a more complex and more sophisticated economy, as well as with a lot more complex, complexity in our production, in our products. So that the first mission is to increase complexity across the board, particularly in semiconductor and also semiconductor-related trade. Second, as I mentioned earlier, Tech Up. We believe that Tech Up is important: automation, digitalization, innovation, adoption of technology. Number 3, push for net zero. We would like to see our industry, including the semiconductor industry. Many of our semiconductor industry are multinational companies, and they have principle, they have capitals, and they have global commitment to renewable energy, or global commitment to net zero. And we want to push that as fast as possible, and therefore we want to push for net zero. And we see that pushing for net zero sometimes can be a burden, but sometimes can also be an opportunity for new investment, as I mentioned earlier. And finally, the 4th mission is to see that whatever we do will increase economic security in its multiple and multifaceted definition, as well as increase economic inclusivity. We want to have a more inclusive nation. We set a very ambitious target. At the moment, the 2021 medium wage for Malaysia was for manufacturing was 1,976 ringgit. We have a very strange situation. Manufacturing medium wage is lower than medium wage, general medium wage, but we set a very high target. We want to increase it by 2.5-fold, 2.5 times within the period of 7 years in manufacturing, because we believe that economic growth has to contribute to economic inclusivity, and it has to contribute to better wages, better life, and better business opportunity. And that is the general missions that we are trying to pursue. I think I will leave. One final point is, over the years, we have been, our semiconductor industry is generally about 70% multinationals and 30% local. We have seen increasingly many local firms becoming more and more important and becoming more and more gaining capability. There is a joke that most of the local firms are started by Intel graduates like Dato Sri Wong Siu Hai. We have basically many of those local firms are started by Malaysians who either work in one of these MNCs, or they have been supplying, or they have been working as a contractor or outsourced contractors, and from there they become very important. We believe that this is not a bad model. This is not a bad model. This is a good model where the constant interactions between multinationals and domestic firms, as well as the constant attempt or pursuit of being part of the global supply chain. I think this is the strength of the semiconductor industry in Malaysia. Now, to conclude, again, I want to thank you, Excellency. This is a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful initiative. As I say, we have a lot to learn from each other. And it will be interesting to see countries like us. And in fact, I think the other countries which are very similar to our situations in terms of semiconductor and also in terms of our position in global supply chain is Ireland. It'll be interesting to see how to compare notes. And I think among governments, we should compare notes a lot more so that we can coordinate policies. So that as you stated in your title, the Global South should coordinate its policies, should find synergies, and finding synergies and what they call the policy coordinations among developing countries will be very interesting. I thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liew Chin Tong. Thank you for being here tonight.